Welcome to Weaving Resonance, where intuition, energy, and embodiment meet real life. I'm Anna Gannon, international intuitive psychic and intuitive development coach. After conducting thousands of readings for people all over the world and training hundreds of people in developing their intuition, I'm here to help you awaken your unique intuitive gifts, trust them fully, and embody their wisdom. Let's get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Weaving Resonance. It has been a while, a few weeks. There's been a lot going on my end, as I'm sure there has been a lot going on your end, as there seems to always be. One of the things that's been happening is that we have been preparing for intuition and energy intensive training that's starting on September 26th. It's running every Saturday for 10 weeks. I run this every single year. This is the third year that we're running it, and every year it blows my mind. There's always an incredible group of people that come together from all over the world to really sit in a container that can hold them while they start to learn how to trust themselves again through learning how to connect with their intuition and how to master their energy, their energetic field, how to clear, how to ground, how to do all the things so that they have true capacity within their system to hold the new energy that it comes in. So if you're interested in that, the payment plans close for that at the end of this month. So August 31st at midnight Eastern time. The monthly payments will expire and there will only be availability to pay in full. Also, I haven't shared this anywhere yet, not for any particular reason other than just not having time to kind of get everything out. But there's also scholarships that we run every year for a few people to join that may have financial constraints, right? So we never want anything to get in the way of you being able to tune and develop your intuition. So that is also on the website, on the landing page for that training. When you go towards the payment section, there is a link so that you can apply for a scholarship. So just know that that's available as well. With all of that out of the way, let's take a moment to tune, as we always do together, which is not something long. It's just a few seconds that we're all going to take together to just land in our bodies. So let's do just that. If you can close your eyes and that feels comfortable for you, you can do that. If you're doing something where you cannot close your eyes, do not worry, you don't need to. So wherever you are, just start to bring your awareness into your body. Imagining that you could stretch your focus to go beneath your skin, perhaps into your blood, your organs, your cells even. And as you continue to stretch your awareness inward, see if you could start to land it right at the center of your chest into the organ that is your heart. And maybe this is the first time you've ever really sat with the physical organ of your heart in just a state of awareness. But see if you could visualize the structure of your heart, the 4 chambers of your heart, the color, the texture of your heart. And maybe including in the beat, the pulse, the vibration of your heart. And just bring into your awareness the idea that this organ has been beating for you since the moment your soul entered this body. this pulse, this radar has been with you every step of the way, whether you have acknowledged it or not. So perhaps allow yourself to just have reverence for this heart that has been beating for you and acknowledging you every moment of every day that you have ever been in this lifetime, in this body. Beautiful. And I invite you as we enter this conversation today to see if you can not only listen with your physical ears, with your intuition, but also with your heart. Allowing everything that is shared today to move through this organ of your heart. Wow, I can really feel you all doing it. It's really cool. So with that, let's get into our topic today, which is, dun, da, 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 surprise, all about love. And since I've been thinking about doing this podcast episode, that song, What's Love Got to Do With It, has been ringing in my ear. So I just had to say that because that's kind of what we're going to be talking about is what does love have to do, with it, with this life? Why do we have the capacity to love? Are we love, like some people might suggest, which I might suggest that we are the frequency of love? So when we look at love just from an intuitive standpoint, which means when I tune with the frequency of love, and if you haven't been around here, I've done thousands and thousands of intuitive readings for people. I've trained people on intuition and energy work. So I spend a lot of time looking at frequencies and studying them in terms of what words are frequencies, what colors are frequencies, how do they impact us, how do they influence our field. And what I've come to find is that the frequency of love, the color tends to be pink with kind of this shade of gold with it. And the frequency of love, when I've witnessed it and watched it, when I've learned about it, even from some mentors, I've come to find that it is the ultimate healing frequency. It can protect, heal, transmit anything in the entire world. So when in doubt, I always say use the frequency of love because it, to me, I've come to understand is the most powerful frequency in the whole universe. And with that, I have come to also notice and experience that it is love's power that often keeps us from truly connecting to its divine frequency. And we're going to go on a journey to kind of understand why I'm saying that. And the first thing that I want to share with you is when I went to India a decade ago, one of the things that I remember about being on that trip with Harshita Wagner, who was on this podcast, and it's a beautiful episode if you want to go back and listen to that. But he was the guide for that trip in India. And when I remember going from kind of village to village, because we would transition from town to town, is that when we were driving and I was getting to witness the various landscapes of India and the various ways that people live, is for me, as someone who grew up in the West, is from America, when I would see people in some of these villages in India, I would feel my heart breaking because they would live in conditions that at the time I thought must, include so much suffering because they, would be in a whole family of like 7 people would be in like a box. And from the outside, it would look like they had nothing, right? But there was this paradox that was happening because whenever I would look at them, they would look so happy. And the kids would be running around with smiles on their faces. And there just seemed to be so much love and joy everywhere I looked, even though from the outside, it looked like poverty. And I remember having so much inner dialogue while I was experiencing this and writing in my journal often, the whole time on this trip, about love and pain. And I was really trying to understand, why does it seem like in my own life, in other places that I go, with other people that I meet all around the world, that love is somehow always connected to pain? And in a lot of ways, I feel that I've sat with that question for most of my life, and even since that trip in India. And, you know, what I came to find, which I'm sure a lot of you are listening as well, is that, yeah, there is some connection. If you love, you sign up for pain, because there's a high chance when you love someone or something that you will lose it, whether you will pass or that person or thing will pass or get taken away. There's always this idea that it will be gone. And a few years ago, I did some plant medicine. I went to go sit with ayahuasca. And I can't remember what my intention was. But what I do remember is that for the first time in my whole life, I understood and experienced why love and pain sit together. And here's what happened. I was in the middle of a ceremony, and at some point, my mom came into my awareness. And for those of you that don't know, I'm the youngest of 7 children. My mom has Parkinson's and has had Parkinson's for a few years now. Her life in the last few years, about 5 years now, has, drastically changed, has been incredibly challenging for her, losing her many capacities, physical faculties, cognitive faculties. And a lot of my siblings' lives and my father's life has completely, upended to care for her as well. And when I was growing up as the youngest of 7, one of the main things that I remember is, not really having a lot of one-on-one attention with my parents, and specifically my mom, because my mom and my dad divorced when I was around 8 years old. And my mom went to go work a few jobs, which meant she wasn't home much. And I was either at home kind of getting raised, if that's even a word, by siblings, really just, semi-watched by them. They were children themselves, and or just hanging out in nature across the street from my house, which is why I have such a love for trees, because in a lot of ways I feel that they were a deep refuge for me as a child. They were family. They are family. So I always kind of felt a little disconnected from my mom, and I never blamed her for that. I never blamed myself for that. It wasn't even something that was at the forefront of my awareness often. Everyone loves my mom. My mom is super caring and compassionate, and someone who, when anyone would meet her, would just simply fall in love with her. And it's really been helpful with her with Parkinson's. Everyone wants to help her because she spent her whole life caring and helping others, which has been very beautiful to experience and witness. But so I'm sitting in this ceremony with ayahuasca, with this medicine. And suddenly, when my mom comes into my awareness, I am shown and given the sensation in my body of how much I actually love her. And it was kind of like this visual where I remembered being a child. I was looking up at her, and I had this conscious awareness of how much I loved her. And at the same time, this awareness of how scary it was to feel the emotion that I felt for her. Like the love that I felt for her was so intense. It was like the scariest thing to experience because my little body couldn't handle that. It knew with certainty that it would lose her. So this part of me somehow put up this invisible wall between her and I. This thing that I just said that I've always felt a little, detached from her. Like I didn't have that attention. I realized in that moment I had actually made that choice because the love that I felt for her was just too much to bear. It was too much to feel the pain, the anguish, the anguish, the grief that I knew was also contained within that love that I felt for her. And I'm sitting in this ceremony and I'm seeing and experiencing this visual that I also knew was a literal memory. And suddenly, I made the choice to remove the invisible barrier and to really let how much I loved her penetrate my entire being. And I have never cried so much. I am, choked up a little bit now, even just remembering it. And what I can tell you about that experience is that it brought me to my knees. It tore apart my insides. I felt my heart organ rip open. And I wept and screamed. I felt this whole experience within my system. And I just stayed in it. And what I can tell you is that towards the end, I was filled with so much gratitude that I even had the capacity to experience every single thing I was experiencing in that moment, which was beyond words. It would take me decades to be able to even attempt to write down everything that I felt and experienced in that moment when I truly opened to how much I loved her. And as you might imagine, and as I've heard said before, and I'm sorry that I don't know where it came from, but I heard said once that bliss is the feeling that we have after we experience any emotion fully. And I was definitely blissed out after that experience because I would say I experienced every single feeling in existence to its entirety at the exact same time. Sorry, I'm burping. For those of you that don't know, when I work with energy, I burp. It's how energy moves up and through the body. And it tells me to pay attention because it's a lot of energy. So I'm assuming what we're speaking about today is not only important for me to share, but perhaps important for you to hear. So after that experience, I have looked at love and how I love in a very different way, meaning that I've examined any other invisible walls that I have put up between other people in my life, between animals in my life, between Mother Nature, between the universe, right? Any places where I could have put up invisible walls to love, because all the aspects that it contained were too much to bear. And I've walked through many thresholds for that for myself personally to take down those walls. And it has been one of the most rewarding experiences to be able to even have the awareness to look at that and the courage to do something about it. And what I've started to uncover, and I'm still, digesting this aspect as I've been for a long time, is that I sense that when we can walk onto that battlefield of love and experience what it actually is to love like that, that is when we reclaim what it is to be truly human. And that we remember how to kind of tap into the worthiness of being a human, which is something I've been thinking a lot about lately. How do we turn on that valve that we remember that being human is a gift and that we are all worthy of this experience if we can just dial into what it actually is to come fully online, fully alive, fully embodied, fully in our divine capacity to stretch into this. This is power in all the right ways, in all the ways that we want power to be. Power is when we can step into a space and really be in the full experience without turning away, without putting up a wall, right? So to kind of bring this full circle as to why I wanted to talk about this today is because I just graduated from a vocal transformation training with Marin Azroth. And I also had a podcast episode with her that I recommend you go and listen to if you haven't already. And when we were wrapping up the course, everyone that was in the course kind of came up to share, what the experience was like for them. Some people came and they sang a song, right? Because it was all about opening up your voice. And one of the women on the call, and I haven't had a chance to even share this with her. I've never actually spoken to her one-on-one. And wow, if she listens to this, that would be wild, but I will reach out to her after this. She came on and she shared, some stuff, all of which, it's a closed container. So nothing of which I will share, obviously. But she did decide to sing. And I sensed that what she sang came straight just out of her. I don't think this came from anywhere else. I don't think this was something she heard. I think this was just a direct transmission. And she just kept saying one line over and over again. And I'll sing it because that's what she did. But I will say, I sense she did a lot better as just it was a full transmission. She just said repeatedly, "Oh, mama, thank you for loving me. Oh, mama, thank you for loving me. Oh, mama, thank you for loving me. Oh, mama, thank you for loving me." And she repeated this for longer than, I could grasp. Because the moment the words came out of her mouth, I was transported back into that moment in ceremony where I remembered that the last ingredient to love and pain and the mixing pot of all the emotions, all the sensations that surge through us when we love unconditionally. The last ingredient that is entered into that space that opens the portal to embodiment of what it is to be love, to truly love and to receive love is gratitude. It's the gratitude that sweeps over us when we remember how grateful we are to feel the love that comes from another. How grateful we are that we even have the ability to pour love into people and things and life itself. How grateful we are to allow love to run through our veins, to beat in every moment in the organ of our heart, and to be the vibration that sends that love, that whole capacity of everything, that whole power out into the world. And, this song just, I mean, it's been in the fabric of who I am since I heard it. And I've been saying it in my house. When my son's having a meltdown, I just start singing to him, "Oh, Atticus, thank you for loving me." And the first time I did it to him, he was so perplexed. He was in the middle of a meltdown, and then he started looking at me and he smiled, and then he started laughing and giggling, and he didn't know what to do, because it switched the whole experience from him having a meltdown and me trying to, support him in regulating his emotions, to just sensing into, I am so grateful. Thank you for loving me. In a way, I've found that with my kids, with my partner, with myself, when we thank someone else for loving us, something in us stands up that wasn't there anymore. Something in us says, oh my gosh, they feel how much I love them. I have worth here. I have something to do here. I'm meant to love here. And so with that, I invite all of you to remember that you can stand up within yourself and start to pour that love forth. And you can open yourself and allow that love to pour into you. And I sense that when we do that, the universe becomes love, a constant exchange where we are not scared to feel pain, to grieve, to experience fear or anxiety. And that's not to say that those things aren't scary. It's just that we open to them as information, as a part of this experience, and we allow no more resistance. We understand grief is a part of love. We understand pain is a part of love. Fear is a part of love, right? Anxiety is a part of love. We remember that it's the whole fabric. So I invite you to weave this together in your life, these resonances of love, of pain, and of gratitude, and just see what starts to emerge from your being and what starts to be reflected back to you. So this is this week's episode of Weaving Resonance. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening with that beautiful heart organ within your body, and for sensing into the love that is your whole being. I will see you all next time. Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you so much for listening today. If this episode supported you, please subscribe and leave a rating. That simple step helps this podcast grow and helps more people reconnect with their intuition in a grounded, embodied way. If you want to go deeper, take my 5-minute free quiz in the show notes entitled Unlock the Full Power of Your Intuition, where you'll discover your unique intuitive gifts, whether you're a knower, seer, feeler, or sensor, and learn more about how your intuition naturally speaks to you. Look out for new episodes dropping every Tuesday. I'm so honored to have spent this time with you. See you next week.